Okay, so when I add A and B, oops. We got negative 4x plus 5y minus 5z equals negative 5. And then positive 4x minus y plus 3z equals negative 5. So what do you get when you add A and B together? What's your new equation? 4y minus 2z equals negative 10. Did anybody else get that answer? All right, so I'm going to box that up. And now let's add B and C. So when you add B and C, what do you get? Negative 2y minus 2z equals 14. Okay, so that's step one. Now, we're going to use these two equations. We need to figure out what we want to eliminate next. Looking at these two equations, which I'm going to go ahead and write over here. We have 4y minus 2z. I'm just rewriting these two equations. You don't have to. Okay, so now we need to make a decision. We got to multiply again. What do we want to get rid of? Which one? Now, either way, we are going to have to multiply. So if we try to eliminate y, then I would need to make this a 4 and a negative 4, which means I would have to multiply this by 2. Or I can try to eliminate z by multiplying one of these by negative 1. So raise your hand if you want to eliminate y. Who wants to eliminate z? All right, so we're going to eliminate z. I posted the answer key to the study guide, and I did my steps, but I don't want you to look at the answer key until you do it yourself. Because the way I did it, you could do it a whole different way and still get to the exact same conclusion, okay? So I'm going to multiply. We decided to eliminate z, so I'm going to multiply this equation by negative 1. So I'm going to take this equation and multiply it by negative 1. I'm going to write it right under it. So if I do that, then that equation becomes negative 4y plus 2z equals 10. And now we are finally able to solve for y. Go ahead and add those two equations together and get your answer for y. Finding the first number is the hardest. After you find the first one, the last two are simple. What you get for y? Anybody else get negative 4? That's what I got. So you add, you got negative 6y equals 24. Divide both sides by negative 6. Y equals negative 4. So now we need to go to one of these and find z. So raise your hand if you want to work with the blue equation. Raise your hand if you want to work with the green one. All right, more blue, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. So if I use that blue equation, that would be 4y minus 2z equals negative 10. So 4 times negative 4 minus 2z equals negative 10. Go ahead and try to solve it out from there. What did you get for z? Who got negative 3? Okay, so we have negative 2z equals 6. Divide both sides by negative 2. Z equals negative 3. Now we got to find x. So let's go to the top. We can work with A, B, or C. Raise your hand if you want to work with A. Who wants to work with B? C? B it is. So 4x minus, I'm going to put a parentheses, plus 3z equals negative 5. So we're going to go ahead and put in our y, which is negative 4, and our z, which is negative 3. So when you subtract the negative, it becomes positive. Minus 9 equals negative 5. Go ahead, take a minute, see if you can finish it out from there. So 4x minus 5 equals negative 5. Add the 5. 4x equals 0. Divide by 4. X equals 0. Who got x equals 0? Okay. Lost a lot of people there. Any questions or about the process? And your last step is to write it in alphabetical order. So what would come first? What's first in the alphabet? 0. And then what comes next in the alphabet? Negative who? So what letter comes next in the alphabet? So we're not putting it in order. We're putting it in alphabetical order. So it goes X first, then Y, then Z. So X came first, and next is Y, which is negative 4. And then lastly is Z, which is negative 3. And this is your solution. One more question, and then we're done. The answers to the study guide are posted. Oh, there is one change really quickly. Everybody look at your study guide real quick. For question number 3, it should say negative. Put a negative in front of that too. Okay, this is the change. Add a minus sign in front for number 3. Everybody see that on the study guide? All right. Okay, let's look at question number 2. Now this is a little trickier. So we don't really have any opposites. So we got to figure out how we want to do this. So, any ideas? What do you now? And I also want to emphasize that there's many ways to do this. So the way I do it is not the only way. Okay, I'm just trying to show you one way. But if you could do it a whole nother way and still get the same X, Y, and Z. So who wants to try to get rid of X? What about Y? What about Z? Okay, I'm thinking Z is the best because if I multiply this equation by 3, that's going to change this to a -3, which will make it the opposite of B and C. So my idea would be to start by taking this equation and I want you to multiply it by 3. So carefully take that equation, multiply it by 3. This is A, B, and C. So we're taking equation C and multiplying it by 3. So it becomes negative 15x minus 6y minus 3z equals negative 69. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and add. Because we have opposites. Does everyone notice how we have an opposite here? See, we have a negative 3z and a positive 3z. And then we have a negative. So we're going to start by taking this equation, and I want you to add it to A. So we're going to take this equation, and let's start off by adding it to A. So let's add the new C and A together. So I'm going to take that new C, which is negative 15x, and then I'm going to add that to A. And that's going to give me negative 19x minus 10y equals negative 65. I'm going to box this up, call this D. And we'll come back to it. Step number 2 is I want you to add the new C and B. So I'm going to take the new C and B. So we got a negative 20x, a minus 3y. So what's negative 69 plus negative 22? All right, so now we got these two equations. So now we got our work cut out for us because nothing is going to easily eliminate. We're going to have to multiply both equations. So looking at the blue and the green, what do you want to try to get rid of next, the X or the Y? Y. So if we do that, then we probably want to make this a negative 30. Everybody look at the screen. What do I have to multiply this by for it to become a negative 30? 3. So I want you to multiply this one by 3. So this one I want you to multiply by 3. That's going to make this a negative 30, which means I need this to be a positive 30. So hold on before you get started. What do I have to multiply this by to make this a positive 30? Negative 10. So we're going to multiply this one by negative 10. So go ahead and do that. So we're almost to our first answer. The first one is the hardest. So I got to make some space, so I am going to have to erase some stuff. Well, I can fit it under it. All right, so let's take that blue equation. Let's multiply it by 3. So we got 19 times 3. So that would be a negative 57. Let me write it in blue. So negative 57x minus 30y. And then negative 65 times 3, what is that? Okay. And now let's take our green equation, multiply that by negative 10. So we got negative 20 times negative 10, negative 3 times negative 10, and negative 91 times negative 10. So that would be 200x plus 30y equals 910. Now we have finally reached a spot where we can eliminate and find x. Go ahead and find x. Take negative 57 plus 200. Set that equal to negative 195 plus 910, and then divide. Okay, so what's negative 57 plus 200? 143x equals, what's negative 195 plus 910? 715. Divide both sides by 143. And you should get your first solution, which is what?
5.
Who got 5? Okay. Now the other ones are going to come a lot easier. So now we need to figure out which one of these do we want to use to find y. Do we want to use this blue one? Or do we want to use this green one? Raise your hand if you want to use the blue. Raise your hand if you want to use the green. All right, so we're going to use the green. And I am going to erase so I can have some space. So now I'm using this equation, so that's a negative 20 times x, which we figured out is a 5, minus 3y equals negative 91. Go ahead and solve that for y. So negative 100 minus 3y equals negative 91. Add 100. And you should get y equals negative 3. Who got y equals negative 3? All right, now your last step is to find x. We got to go back to A, B, or C, and we'll be done. Which one do we want to work with to find, not x, I'm sorry, we already know x, z. Which one do we want to use to find z, A, B, or C? Raise your hand if you want to use A. Who wants to use B? Who wants to use C? A it is. So I'm going to use A. Go ahead and make me some spice. And I'm going to use A to find Z. So A says negative 4x minus 4. I'm going to put parentheses for the stuff that I know already. Okay. So we know that x is 5. And we know y is negative 3. So that would be negative 20 plus 12 plus 3z equals 4. Combine your like terms and solve that for z. So we have negative 8 plus 3z, add the 8 to 4, and divide by 3. So z equals 4. Who has z equals 4? Okay, let's put our answer in alphabetical order. So what comes first in the alphabet? So 5 comes first, then what comes next? And then the last number would be 4. Okay, good job. Definitely you want to start on the study guide. Module 2 tests coming up. You have your study guide. The answer key is posted. Look at your notes. And that's it. We got 2 days. We're going to start reviewing for our test.